So we're here at the Tzafir home Thursday night, and my students appreciate the fact that you guys let them come in for these shiurim. Because it's right before Purim, we're just saying, so we're going to take a break in Hilchos Shabbos and start tonight the Halachos of Purim. Maybe next week we'll still have a shiur, so we'll see. So I brought the Sefer Halichos Shlomo, which is a Sefer of Halachos from Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, and it doesn't go through the Halachos of Purim methodically, like it doesn't list out all the mitzvahs and all the things you have to do. It's more of like specific issues or cases that Shlomo Zalman has psakim on that are well known, but through it we'll be able to learn a lot of halachos. But it's not a way to like really learn the halachos thoroughly the whole way through. But I think for our kind of a shiur, so it's a good sefer to go to. So we're going to start with the chapter on Chodesh Adar. If anyone has the sefer, it's the 18th parak, Chodesh Adar. So we're going to talk first about the Parsha Zachar, which is this, the Shabbos. Tomorrow is Shabbos Zachar, and on Shabbos day we have the mitzvah. So Yotzei Adam Yidei Chavasa B'Shmiyas Parsha Zachar B'Havara Mashuna Hashona Mesoras Avosov. So he's saying that a person is Yotzei Parsha Zachar, even if they hear it in a Havara, even if they hear it in an accent and laning that's not their Masorah, like a Sephardi person hearing an Ashkenaz, or an Ashkenaz hearing Sephardi, or a Yemenite, hearing a Syrian, etc. As long as you hear it, but the Chatchila you should hear it your own way. It's well known that Victor Neventhal at the Kotel, he has a Vasik minion at the Kotel, in the old city, and they have their laning like in half a dozen different nuschaot of the laning, Tamim, different things. But this is one time that they say l'chatchila, Sfardim should daven by Sfardim, or Ashkenazim should hear it at least in that mitzvah. But he says Shlomo Zalman says Yotzi either way. But again, like he doesn't even address here the main halacha that on Shabbos there's a mitzvah this week to hear Parsha Zachar, and we consider this to be like a mitzvah d'oraisa. According to most poskim, it certainly applies to all men. According to most poskim, it applies to women also. Although many women, certainly women married with children, so are not necessarily no way to go. But single girls and people who are able to go should definitely go. Okay, Beis Hashmei Parsha Zachar v'chisa kama tevos. So this is also interesting because people tend to pay very, very careful attention to Parsha Zachar, and that's the right thing to do. And the shul would make a very big deal about everybody focusing. And I certainly know that there are poskim who disagree with this and say that if you miss any part of it, there's a shaila whether you're yotzei or not. But Shlomo Zalman says not like that. He says that if you hear it and even if you missed a bunch of words, kol sheshama ikar inyan zechiras Amalek, as long as you remember the main idea of remembering Amalek, yatsa yidei chavasa, he holds your yotzei. So again, the chatchila, we try to hear every single word, and the Balkora usually lays it slowly and carefully, almost in every shul, but loudly. They tell everyone to be quiet, etc. But Al Pi Halacha, Shlomo Zalman says that if a person hears the main idea, you're yotzei with it. So a person, okay. Gimel. Also, let's say chutz the tchum Shabbos etzarech shmiyas Parsha Zachar. Okay, you're not allowed to leave the tchum on Shabbos. Let's say a person lives very far away from the closest place where they're learning Zachar. So he would have to leave more than 200 amas outside of the last area where there's like life and buildings. So then he would not be allowed to do that to go to your Parsha Zachar because you're not allowed to break Shabbos to your Parsha Zachar. Okay. What happens if the Sefer Torah that you leaned from is found to be pasul afterwards? So Sefer Torah shekaru bo b'Shabbos shelifnei Purim Parsha Zachar v'nimtza bo psul la'achar zman. Let's say so if you a week or two later, nothing to do, after Purim and everything, but in the later parshas Pekudei, they find that the Sefer Torah is pasul. So now the question is, does that tzibur have to hear Parsha Zachar again? Because it turns out when they heard Parsha Zachar, they heard from Rav Afim Dizbar Shekfar Haya Pasul B'Zman Kriya. So he's saying even if they realize that this was really pasul all along, even back then it was missing a whole word that was certainly not, it's not like something fell off in the meantime, or a letter ripped or something. Ein tzarich lachzor l'kos hashenis. You don't have to go ahead and read it again, which I guess is a good thing, because if you had to, how could anyone ever know that the shul that they were in didn't find a psul in the sefer? But it's amazing nowadays. Psul in the sefer Torah are so much less frequent. I think it's because of the computer checking. But it seems that there's so much. Okay. So that's it. Now we're moving on to Tainus Esther. Okay, so the Tainus Esther for everybody this week is Wednesday. It's for us in Yerushalayim. It's always we go from Tainus Esther into a break, and then we go to Purim. So it took a lot of getting used to it after you move from Chutzah.
So it's sunrise to sunset, right?
It's sunrise to sunset. You can wake up early. Not sunrise, from Alus HaShachar. an hour and a half before, let's say, sunrise. But you can wake up early before that and eat and drink, and it ends here in Yerushalayim. I think 5:57 is the time that it closes over here. So
we don't go into Megillah.
And we don't go to Megillah. No,
everyone else does.
Everyone else goes into Megillah. We get to sit and eat. And Wednesday night, maybe we have a shiur Wednesday night instead of Thursday night. We'll see what our options are. But okay, but anyway, the halacha is like this. He says, what about making a wedding the night before Tainis Esther, or the night before any fast day for that matter? Is that okay? So ein osin nesuin or yom Tainis. In general, Rosh Hashanah held not to do this. It happens to be that Moshe held that a person is allowed to in a situation of need. And I was at a wedding that was once right before Shavas B'Tammuz. Going to Shavas B'Tammuz or going to Sarbat Teves, or whatever it was, like one of those situations. No, not Shavas B'Tammuz, maybe not Shavas B'Tammuz, going into Sarbat Teves. And Moshe was mutter. Rosh Hashanah says you should not do that. Milvad Tainis Esther, with the exception of Tainis Esther. And he explains at the bottom, because Tainis Esther, even though it's a fast day, it's not a sad day. It's not a sad Tainis. It's not like a commemoration of a tzara. It's a day that Chazal set aside to tell us that tefillah works. That's the idea of Tainis Esther. And there's a very powerful idea that I speak about every year before Tainis Esther, that the Tur in the Shulchan Aruch, the Tur brings this down. And he says that it's an interesting thing. Tainis Esther is the only Tainis that we make earlier rather than push off. Right? Any other fast day, if it comes out on Shabbos, we push it off until Sunday. Right? Even Yom Kippur, Tisha B'av, not Yom Kippur. Other than Yom Kippur, I'm saying even Tisha B'av, any other fast day, we push it off until Sunday. But the Tainis Esther, if it falls out on Shabbos, or even if it falls out on a Friday, we move it up to Thursday. So he says two things. First of all, that we move it up, and as opposed to another fast day again, because it's not a sad day. Normally, we don't want to be makdim puranios. We don't want to bring sad things on ourselves earlier, but because Tainis Esther is not a sad day, so we don't have that issue. So he says, okay, what's wrong with doing it Friday? Why not Erev Shabbos? Why do we push it back until Thursday? He says an unbelievable thing. The Torah says, because on Tainis Esther, people would be so much involved in their tefillos, they wouldn't get ready for Shabbos. That's what he says. That's how they took Tainis Esther in the olden days. It's a day that is mamish biyuchad for tefillah. And the Chazal set it upside. This is the day of the year that we commemorate. It's like it's tefillah day. That's really what it is. It's the day of the year that we set aside to commemorate that the tefillah and Klal Yisrael gets together and mispalel, so tefillah works, and Hashem listens to us. That's what Tainis Esther. So it's not a sad day, and therefore he says, you're allowed to make a wedding the night before, even though normally you shouldn't do that.
Isn't there a slightly obvious question that Yom Kippur as well is not a sad day? By definition, it's the happiest day of the year, and it's linked to Purim.
Well, okay, but Yom Kippur we do on Shabbos itself. I'm saying that Yom Kippur.
We don't move it. Oh, I see.
Yom Kippur.
It doesn't move.
Yeah, it doesn't need to move. I'm saying Yom Kippur is over.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Gama misnoig hamachmirim lisnoig b'tainis tzibur kmo b'tisha siyamim shel chodesh av einam tzrichim lenog kim b'tainis Esther. So he's referring to here. The Mishnah Berurah brings this down that there's some people who are machmir that on any fast day, in addition to not eating or drinking, which is the basic prohibition, but there's some people who are machmir to not do any of the things that we don't do on the other fast days. They won't shower, they won't, anoint, any of the things all the five million that we don't do in Tisha B'Av, they won't do. So he says, not on Tisha B'Av itself, during the 9 days. I'm saying during the 9 days. It won't eat, won't shower, these types of things. So, but here it's mutter to do that. It's on Tainis Esther. Even the people who are machmir for the other fast, because again, Tainis Esther is not a sad day, so it's not. There's no Indian for this. Pashut ubarash and makum l'chumra. There's no place for this chumrah because there's a chumrah that has to do with avelus. Getting ready for Kriyas Megillah. So he doesn't bring. He's going to bring Mach to Shekel. Okay, mutter lehislamid b'Shabbos Kriyas Megillah b'Taimeh k'dei l'kros b'erev. Okay, if you have a situation where Purim is Motzei Shabbos, so maybe you would say that you're not allowed to study the Megillah on Shabbos, to learn how to lay in on Shabbos. For somebody who's going to read the Balkori, because it's like Hachana, you're preparing for after Shabbos on Shabbos. So he says, no, it's mutter to do that. The reason is, if in this case, because you're learning Torah, and you stop learning Torah, but even studying for a test, even a person would be studying for a test, the halacha is it's mutter as long as they don't say that that's what they're doing, as long as they don't explicitly say. Because just looking in a book and reading something, even though I know that I'm doing this in order to prepare for Motzei Shabbos, but there's nothing that is apparent from what I'm doing that I'm doing a Motzei Shabbos preparation.
It depends what kind of test, right?
Well, yeah, no. If it's a test of something that you're not allowed to study on Shabbos, finances or maybe history, different things like that, that might be usher. That is usher because because of the topic you're not allowed to study. But here we're talking just in terms of the idea of studying on Shabbos for something that's going to, let's say, biology, which is for sure you're allowed to learn on Shabbos, maybe a mitzvah even. So to study, but if I'm studying for a test and I'm saying, oh, I've got a big test on Tuesday and I'm learning this chapter, this is on my test on Tuesday, that's not permissible because I'm blatantly preparing for after Shabbos on Shabbos.
Even if it's Gemara.
Even if it's Gemara, to say that's what you're doing, to say, but just to be learning, and then so Shlomo Zalman held, just in general, is an important side point. But
to say to someone else or to appear to be
anybody, to say out loud,
So what's the inyan here?
Because then you're making it clear that you're doing something for Motzei Shabbos that you're not allowed to do. But if I don't say what I'm doing, I'm just doing something that is not clear what I'm doing, so then it's mutter. So, you're allowed to walk out of your house in order to get closer to something that you need to do Motzei Shabbos. You're not allowed to say that that's where you're going and why you're doing it, because then you're clearly going somewhere in order to do something that you're not allowed to do on Shabbos.
The saying, what I'm saying is the saying brings someone else into the understanding of what you're doing.
I don't know if it matters if I'm saying if a person would say it out loud and nobody else was there, I think it would be the same thing. It can't be clear.
Declaration.
It can't be that it's clear in the outside world that this is what I'm doing. It has to be that from anybody looking at me would know, even if there's nobody, but anybody who would looking at me would not know that this is something I'm doing is after Shabbos. Okay. Avel toch yud beis chodesh in over lefnei teva b'yudalad adar gam Yerushalayim kmo b'tesvav. Okay, a person who's in avelus doesn't daven on Purim, whether on either day of Purim in the first year of avelus. Okay. Zeichel machtis hashekel. So it does daven for the Amud. I'm sorry. Yes, of course. Yes. He davens for sure. Should daven like everybody, but does not only over lefnei teva. He doesn't go and daven for the Amud on Purim day. Okay, the Zeichel Nacht is a shekel, so this is a mitzvah that we do. We named Parsha Shkalim already a couple of weeks ago because Adar time was the time of the year that they would collect the half shekel from everybody in Klal Yisrael, and this was money that was used to support the karbanos of the Beis Mikdash, the carbon tamid. And it was very important that these were things that were funded by the tzibur, and so we today have a mitzvah to give a machzis a shekel as a zecher to that, as a commemoration for that. And it ties into the whole Purim story because the Chazal tell us that hikdimu shekleim, the shkal of Haman, that our machzis hashekel, the mitzvah of the money that we gave, that kind of got in there first before Haman's money that was given over to Achashverosh, and the zchus of that mitzvah was one of the zchusim that saved Klal Yisrael. So the minhag in Klal Yisrael is to do this mitzvah of Zeichel Machzis HaShekel specifically on Tainis Esther, even though it's not in those days it wouldn't necessarily be on that date on the Yud Gimel, that would be the date that they would collect Machzis HaShekel, but we do it on Tainis Esther because of its connection to Purim.
After Shabbos.
Before Mincha, you can Mincha time is when people do it. Zeichel Machzis HaShekel Nasan.
Why before Mincha?
I don't know what he's going to say here that he did it at a different time. Nasan Rabbeinu B'Leil Tesvav Ba'adar Gimel Chatzai Dalar Shayu Muchanim B'Beis HaKnesses Avur Kol Echad B'Nei Beso. So he's saying the minhag of Shlomo Zalman would do it at night time of Tesvav Ba'adar, meaning the night of Purim itself, not on Tainis Esther, like most people. In other words, I'm saying when you do it before or after Mincha is not. I don't think. Maybe there are inyanim or minhagim or ideas, but that's not part of the halacha. And he would give $3 which is usually what they have in the shuls. They have taped up $3 and you have to put in the shekel equivalent, and you pick it up and you acquire it, right? And then you put it back in, and then you put in again the shekel equivalent, and you pick it up and you acquire it, and then you put it back in. And
why three? Why 3 halves?
I don't know how it comes out the cheshbon.
Is it the value of the
kesef? He said because in $50 there's actual silver. That's what he says.
Coin.
$50 coin, yeah.
50 cents.
Yeah. Okay, but they say it's not even true anymore. They say it's not even true. Well, because the amount of silver. Yeah, okay, I don't know what this is, but they say it's not even true anymore.
We just give half a shekel.
That's not true. No.
We give three. We give 3 half shekels.
No. You give the amount of money of $3 half, and you pick up those $half, and then you put them in, and that's your machzis shekel. And then you put it in the next.
Here.
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was in Israel. This is Shlomo Auerbach. Nasan Rabbeinu. There's in every shul. This is what's there. You haven't seen ever otherwise.
No, really?
Yeah. That's what's in the shul. Every shul. There's in every of those buckets or bowls. There's $3 taped up, usually a clear tape.
What do? You take
you first put the money in of the value of whatever that is comes out to the shekel of that day, whatever it is. Right. You put the money baruch. You put the money in, so that way you have the right to acquire it. And then you put that in, and that's your half shekel. That's your mitzvah. And then you have to do it for each member of your family. That's what it says also.
I used to collect coins up until 1964. All coins, like quarters, $1.50 and silver had silver in it. After 1964 to like 1965, they were instead of 90% silver, the $50 were like 40% silver. Up until like the early 70s, and they scrapped silver Thailand.
What are they now?
Nickel or whatever.
Yeah, they're like nickel and copper.
So I'll do it again. You have like these 3 coins.
The 3 coins taped together. Those are sitting there already from before. Somebody, Gabbai of the shul, already prepared that for you.
Let's say it's what?
So it's 6 shekel. 6 shekel. So you take 6 shekel, you put it in there. That gives you a right to acquire those coins. Okay, so you pick up those coins, and now they're yours. If you wanted to be a not nice guy, you can put them in your pocket and walk out. Yeah. But you're not going to do that because you already did the mitzvah. So you're going to put it back in there. Now you just did the half shekel. That's what you did for yourself. Now you're going to do another 6 shekel and put it in, and now you're going to pick it up for your wife, and then you're going to, now it's yours. You can run out if you want to. You're not going to do that. You're going to put it in and do your half shekel.
So
and then you're going to do it again for your first kid.
Oh, you have to keep putting money in.
Well, or you can just do it in the beginning, and you've got like credit in the pot. You know what I mean? You can put in.
All right, but you have to put shekel. The value of every member.
6 shekel per member of your family.
Oh, girls also.
Boys, girls, yeah, everybody. It's like the census. Everybody.
How do you know it's 6?
Well, let's say it's around 4 shekel. You don't want to shortchange the. You know what I mean? So let's call it an even 4
what's
shekel
the equivalent
$1.
Of what's the value? The equivalent of.
Well, I'm saying he said it used to be that there was silver in it. Why we stick with $3.50 even though everyone knows there's no silver? I can't answer that question.
In pounds, you don't have silver.
You are?
In pounds, English pounds.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, apparently you don't have it here either, but apparently you used to have it, and it used to be that there was at least a shava pruta worth of silver in $3.50. That's the idea.
No, I'm just trying to understand what's the shekel value equivalent to. If you say 6 shekels equivalent to what? The value of silver?
To $1.50.
$1.50.
To $1.50.
Yeah, $1.50 times 4 is 6.
Oh, I see. It's the shekel equivalent.
Yeah. The shekel exchange. Do your phone the shekel exchange rate of the day, and then you put it in there. In other words, if you don't want to round up to 4, if the shekel exchange rate is 385, so then how many members of your family times 385 times 1.5 times the number of people in your family times 3.85, and that's how many shekel you put in.
What were they doing before dollar was the benchmark?
I don't know what they did. I don't know.
What did
they had silver. Maybe they had real silver before then. Okay, that's a lot. Okay. Nesuin b'sof hachodesh, nosin nashim ba'adar gam b'sof hachodesh. Some people have the minhag not to get married in the second half of the month because like the moon is already starting to diminish. But in Adar we don't have that minhag, and the whole month of other people get married.
Well, look where we're flying towards. We're flying towards Nisan.
We're flying towards Nisan. Okay, Yartzeit b'shna muveres. I'm going to skip this about a leap year. What happens if you go to Yartzeit in a leap year?
Moshe Rabbeinu's Yartzeit tonight.
That's right. It's, it was today. I'm saying today, Thursday, was Zion Adar. That's right.
Moshe Rabbeinu's
like I really wanted to say something over from Wolfson. My Rebbe's Yartzeit was this week. I went to Har Zaysim on Wednesday. To the Kever of Isser Wolfson, Yisrael Isser Wolfson, who my son is named after. It's big tzaddik. Maybe this time I'll say over a piece of Purim from him. Mamish, a tremendous tzaddik, a big Talmid Chacham, who was nifted very young. But okay. Okay, so now we're into Purim. The mitzvahs of Purim, so Mikra Megillah. So now I was going to start talking about the halachos of Megillah. And like I said, we're not going to get through all the halachos of Purim like this, but we'll just get bit by bit through some of the topics. If you want to skip around, if you'd rather start by one of the other mitzvahs, you can do that, or you want to skip, we'll skip. Ein yotzin yidei chovas Mikra Megillah b'shmiyasa al yidei ramkol telephone nechdoma. There's a Rosh Zalman's shita in general that a telephone and a microphone and a loudspeaker is not a voice halachically. And anything that you need to hear a person's voice for, including answering Amen, according to Shlomo Zalman, including answering Amen, you may not answer over a loudspeaker or a telephone. Shlomo Zalman Rabbah held.
Unless you can hear it without it. Right?
Unless you can hear it without it, yes, yeah. Then you're not answering.
Well, you can hear even a bit.
Even a bit. Yeah. But if let's say on a phone or anything along those lines, Shlomo Zalman held you're not even allowed to answer Amen to a bracha like that.
It's on the radio.
Or on the radio, anything like that.
They do Megillah reading on the radio.
No, you're not Yotzei like that. No, what they do that for, Megillah reading on the maybe there are, first I don't want to say you're not Yotzei like that. I'm reading here the Psachim of Shlomo Zalman, certainly Moshe Feinstein held that way also. Yeah. But what they do that for is that you could read along with. In other words, I know when I used to, in Pesach, there was a person who did this, used to record himself leaning the Megillah, and he used to offer for people to take home and play, for their wives, and they could listen to it and read along, like he would record it very slowly, and they could read along, and that way they're Yotzei the Megillah by themselves, but they know how to read it, because otherwise you can't read the words, it's very complicated.
So they had a Megillah also?
Yeah, the kosher Megillah.
They had a kosher Megillah.
Kosher Megillah.
So how does that work? That's mutter.
What do you mean, for a person to read it themselves, for sure, but you have to know how to read it. So he would record his voice reading the Megillah so people would know how to read it.
They would keep up with him on the recording.
It was a slow,
he
very
deliberate
recording.
To repeat.
Yeah, not to repeat, just to read along with him, but a slow, deliberate reading of it. Okay. Yeah, but anyway, just to hear it that way, you're not guilty. Yachid hakora Megillah shemiut tevuseh chaseros be'emtza lo yivarich. Okay, if a person is reading himself and it's missing words, so then you shouldn't make a bracha on it. Noshim Hashem os kriyas Megillah la'atman v'archos achas mehen habrachos u'motzia es chavusel. If women are hearing Megillah together, so one of them should make the bracha and be motzei everybody else. Okay. Hapsukim shenogu le'umrim kol hakol b'kol. The psukim that the whole tzibur is nohig to say them together. Im eino korem in Megillah keshera. If you're not reading it from an actual kosher Megillah, in other words, let's say you just have a chumash in front of you, which is like what I use, regular chumash. So if you're reading along that way, so you should have in mind that you're not being yotzei when you're laning those words, because you're not being yotzei then from a kosher Megillah, which is kosher b'diavad, you're yotzei b'diavad, but you're better off hearing it from the actual Baal Koreh. So you should have in mind that you're being yotzei when you hear it from him, not when you're reading it yourself. Okay. The kriyas hatevos hamusupakos sheba Megillah. In those few words in the Megillah where there's a question, there's a few places that there's a question, laharog ula abed, laharog la'abed, a few times. So nagu lachzor al kol pasuk al kol ha'inyan, aval b'miras beis tevos bavad zu achazu ein tam. Just to say the word like twice in a row, like laharog ula abed. Yeah, zachar zecher and zachar and zecher. Zecher and Zecher. So yeah, but just to do it one after the other, he says that's for sure, it doesn't help anything.
But it changes the whole sentence. It changes the process.
No, but his point is just, if you would read it to the Zecher, that doesn't do anything. If you read the pasuk over twice, then
it does.
Yeah, then it does. That's how.
Because you've altered the meaning.
That's what they do.
That's what they do. They read it twice. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They read the pasuk twice. They don't just say the word twice. They read the pasuk. Maybe some do. That's what he's telling. He's coming out against something. He's saying those people who say it this way, it's not the right way to do it. But again, this could be other poskim who say this is straight up from Salman's psakim over here. Okay. Ein hayachid mevarich birchas harav es rivenu af im kines asar l'shmo kriyaso. That last bracha at the end of Rav es rivenu is only a bracha that you make if there's a tzibur that's being yotzei the Megillah together, but a single person being yotzei the Megillah, even with if 10 other people are there, he doesn't make the bracha. It has to be a tzibur of people being
at the end of the Megillah.
At the end, yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Hakorias, now about the Zman, the time of the reading of the Megillah. Hakorias of Megillah biyom ben alos hashachar la'netzachama lahotzi acherim ve'in kavnasa lotzes b'kriyasu yeshmakum l'stapek im yotzu shomim b'dechavasam. Okay, whatever, we'll skip this halacha. Mishen es acher ve'egia lebeis hakneses biyom b'purim kishmatchilum l'kra Megillah v'hu adayin lo birich birchas HaTorah. So what happens? The person's mom's running late. They overslept. Especially this year on Friday here in Yerushalayim. It's a very short day. Davening is going to be very early in the morning, and a person had a little bit much to drink the night before, like the Ramah says, like they said before, it's Indian to have a party a little bit at night. So a person wakes up late the next morning. He runs into shul. He hasn't even said Birchas HaTorah yet, and they're hearing Vayihi b'mei achash v'yirosh. So, oh my gosh, what do I do? He has no other minion to go to. This is it. This is the last one. What does he do? What are you saying?
Well, what's the question?
Maybe he can't be yotzei without Birchas Torah, right? He's not allowed to learn Torah. Maybe he can't even be yotzei.
The only problem is with it is that it's something that's a mitzvah averes, it's passing.
Right, but the point is, if you can't be Yotzei, you just can't be Yotzei.
Well, is it considered because of Torah? Is it considered something that is classified? Is it?
No, it's Torah.
Yeah, it's Torah.
It's certainly Torah. No question. That's what he says. Yishma and below Birchas Torah lefnei. Go ahead and listen without Birchas Torah. Kadesh lo yafsed kriyas b'tzibur, so you don't miss the hearing feel of the tzibur. And because he brings down here from the Mishabur and others, the B'shas Adchak muter b'talmud Torah af kodem racha lefi she'ein zeh kedin Birchas Hanenin. There's B'shas Adchak it's muter to learn without Birchas Torah.
Yeah, how come?
And you could also say that you're not learning it to
You're
learn
just
Torah.
reading it.
You're hearing it to hear the mitzvah and hear the story, and you're not like being mekayim the mitzvah of Talmud Torah when you're reading it, unless that's what you're machavi to do. Okay.
Is that the equivalent of if you wake up for whatever reason in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's not, let's say it's time for Birkas Torah, but you're in learning, you're in a chavrusa, and you're firing on all cylinders, and you haven't done Birkas Torah, but you're learning.
No, then you for sure have to stop.
You have to stop.
Yeah, for sure. We assume it's also to learn without Birchas Torah. Saying B'shas Adchak, you can do it. It's not like it's Birchas Hanenin that it's like you're
But if you wake up and then it's like already Shema time, right, the end of the Shema, then you can say Shema without it.
Yeah.
I guess the same thing. I guess the same idea, not the Mishma. I would assume so. I don't know. Okay, Mishloach Manos. So now we're moving on from Kriyas Megillah to Mishloach Manos. We know the basic idea of Mishloach Manos, right? That it says in Megillah, Ish Ehu is to give 2 types of food to one person, and not the very well-known but incorrect halacha. It has to be 2 different brachos. It's not true. A lot of people think that. It doesn't have to. From Zalman, I think we're going to see soon.
Two ready.
It has to be ready to eat foods, but it could be the same bracha. It could even be the same food. It could be chicken. 2 different types of chicken would be fine. There has to be 2 different things.
An apple and a pear?
Apple and pear for sure is fine. That's for sure. Could be a red apple and a green apple. It could be. Maybe not. Maybe that's too close. We'll see. So this is also just an interesting thing that I've ever seen this, some years ago. And it makes a lot of sense, and a person should try to be makbid on this, that until you're mekayim the mitzvahs of the day, you really shouldn't eat, just like we have by any other mitzvahs that we have, like b'dikas chametz, and many other areas of lighting Hanukkah candles and Havdalah, Kiddush, all these things. Like once you have the time to do the mitzvahs, you're not allowed to eat until you do it. So he's saying, most of us don't eat before hearing the Megillah in the morning because it's we're not allowed to eat before Shachris. Then we go to shul, we hear the Megillah. But then after that, come home and eat breakfast. You should not do that. You should first make sure to give them matanos davyonim, and first make sure to do mishloach manos. This is usually what I do. I usually try to dam vasikin on Purim morning, and then find somebody else who went to vasikin. I'll bring like a mishloach manos with me there, and find somebody who I'm planning on giving mishloach manos to, and I'll make that be my one time that I make sure I'm yotzei and doing it properly. And now I know that I've been yotzei that mitzvah, and matanos davyonim also. Once I've given the money to the the Kupat Ha'ir guy, he doesn't have to give it to the poor person, as long as I've given the money to the person who's giving it out, so I'm good with that also, and then I can go home and eat, and that's fine. But until then, a person shouldn't eat until they do all the mitzvahs. You have to give it through a shliach when you do that? No, you don't have to. You don't have to. Well, I think maybe even he speaks about this. We'll see. Okay. Yeah, there's a question here, an interesting question on the bottom here, about how come we don't make a bracha on Mishloach Manos? How come there's no bracha on it? So they say you're supposed to have in mind when we say the Shechianu, you're supposed to have in mind
all the mitzvahs
of the day, right? But how come we don't make a bracha on Mishloach Manos?
Why would you?
Mitzvah. Why
would you don't make a bracha?
I'm sorry?
Shiur Kiddushan mitzvah.
Also, okay, so that's the same question. I'm saying, but how come we make a bracha on the Megillah, we make a bracha on Ner Chanukah? Well, what's the difference between Ner Chanukah and Mishloach Manos? So he says a very interesting thing. He says that we can't make a bracha. You won't find any bracha that's dependent on another person. You can't make a bracha because one of the person will refuse the Mishloach Manos, right? The person will refuse.
Bracha levatala.
Right, so they will be like a bracha levatala, as he says. So you can't be that it's a bracha that's dependent on another person. In fact, there's a halacha. Some people know this.
To make a bracha achrona after they accept
do this. They right. Kids, let's say you're eating potato chips. So a kid will come over and say, Baruch Hashem, bring Kriya Adama. I made a bracha. So it's also to do that, and you can't even give them that food because it's also to make a bracha on food in somebody else's hand that you don't have, it's not accessible to you because it's dependent on somebody else. Maybe he won't give it to you. So if they're like holding it there for you and you know they're feeding you, that's okay. Yeah, but if a person's got their own food and they may, so not only but you can't feed it to them, because if you do give it to them, they're eating without a bracha, because the bracha is no good.
Can I say a 10-second joke about it?
Yeah, sure.
You should probably. There was this
Continue over here. Okay. You're allowed to use. So some say you're not allowed to do it. Some says you can. I remember I gave the Shemitah shiur. I mentioned this as a shaila. But there's a question whether you're allowed to use Shemitah produce for mishloach manos, because you're not allowed to get any benefit from it. You're not allowed to do any business deals with it or get it. So maybe you could say that using the Shemitah produce to how do you say?
Close to
dispense of my shiur of mishloach manos, so I'm getting like a side benefit from it. Whereas I'm not allowed to benefit from pear shvias. So here I have an orange and a mango. So great, I'm going to give him the darin as my mishloach manos. So yes, it's very nice that I did that, but I'm not allowed to do business transactions with this. And in using this, I've used these to pater me up. You know what I mean? To like.
Exempt
me. Thank you. Exempt. That's what I was looking for. To exempt me from having to do. So some say you're not allowed to do that, but some said you can. Because right, you're not allowed to pay a debt with shvius. You're not allowed to pay back a debt. If I owe you $100, I can't give you $100 of melons, sweet melons. So you could say that mishloach manos is like a debt. It's like something I owe to do. I have to do it. So maybe I can't do it. He held that you could, but again, I'm telling you, there's some that post would tell you that you're not allowed to.
And it can be nice if someone said that and they're supposed to give silacha, you're not supposed to really count it for meiser because it's like an obligation, so you can't really.
Right. Well, you can't. Right, for sure. Matanas avyonu, you can't. Right. That's true for sure. Okay. Yotzim yedei chovis mishloach manos af manos she'eina mekabel rashon la'oklan v'tamei brios.
Yeah. So you can't. But what if you give more than what you need? As you need to give, like what?
No,
50 shekel, then you give 200 shekel. The extra 150, you can count it.
Yes, that's for sure. Yes. Only the minimum of what you're giving from $1,000 you cannot count. For sure. A lot of people they give their meiser on Purim. They give a lot of their meiser money away. Okay, this is also an interesting thing. What if you give somebody to something to somebody that they won't eat because it's not that they're health nuts, right? Then you're going to give them chocolate, or that
give Darren a piece of chicken,
right? Or you a piece of pizza, right? So so even if they are not going to eat it because of health reasons, you're yotzei mishloach manos when you eat it.
Oh, that's like a weird take on of getting close to your fellow Jew. To give someone something that they don't like.
Okay, they can do it with their tongue. Even if they're not going to eat it, though, they can do it. They can give it to somebody else. They can do whatever they want with it. It is theirs. Okay. So here, this is what we were talking about before. Shnei chalakim min echad achalukim mitaimam kagon achelike elyon vatachton shel basar of uchdome chashuvim kishnei manos. So as I said before, a chicken wing and a chicken, a chicken breast and chicken wing, those are two manos, those are two different things. A piece of schnitzel and a polka, those two taste like two different things, so it's mutter to give that as mishloach manos. You give two.
Have you ever had a chicken for mishloach manos?
Well, so I'll tell you something. So a lot of people have
chocolates and stuff.
A lot of people have the hanaga to do like this, and then I don't know if I've been doing this every year. I don't know. I don't recall, but certainly for many years I recall it was very makbid to do this, that at least to one person that you're supposed to give something that they're actually going to eat in the Suda. In other words, like even if you're giving like a cute mishloach manos of whatever theme you're giving, and you're giving your this and your this and your this and your this, but to one person you should make sure to give something that they're actually going to eat in the Suda. So I used to eat or drink, in other words, but something that because according to some of the opinions, the inyan of mishloach manos is part of the Suda, is part of the mitzvah of the Suda. And if you're giving something that for sure a person is not going to eat in the Suda, So again, I'm not saying nobody's going to say you're not Yotze, etc. But it's definitely brought down in some svarim that to be muhudar, to make sure to give at least one person. So you used to always give like one person a package of deli. Because the mitzvah mishloach manos is only one person. Ish l're'ehu, matanos le'avyonim, and ish l're'ehu. So to one person to give like a package of deli and even a bottle of soda or a bottle of beer or a bottle of wine, or something that they're going to use at the seudah. So that there's an Indian to.
So the Indian is one person with two foods, not two people with two foods.
Yeah. One person with two foods, and for matanos le'avyonim, it has to be to two poor people in the amount.
And that's money.
That's money in the amount that.
Two poor people.
Two poor people.
Yeah. Someone said that fine today, like in Israel, what's a poor person? Basic needs. So what does that? It said if a person doesn't have a car, that doesn't count. They don't have bus fare, that's a basic need. A washer is a basic need. A dryer is not.
Halachos have, parameters. Okay, so anyway, that's just saying. So two pieces. So in other words, again, but this thing, a lot of people have it in their head. It has to be two different brachos. So that doesn't exist anyway. As far as I know, it doesn't exist anywhere. That halacha. Okay. Hasholech manus l'chaveru al tanai sheyachzor makabel v'yishlach gam hula manus mustabed l'yatza. Let's say I give you mishloach manus, but I'm only doing it on condition that you give me back also mishloach manus. So that doesn't work. You're not yotzei. There has to be a real gift. There has to be that I'm giving something from me to you. No strings attached. No, returning and etc.
No quid pro quo.
No quid pro quo.
And some families they receive the mishloach manus. They put like all these stocks of stuff. Then the repackaging.
You just stick around on the thing, people just read
the worst the situation is when your mishloach manos comes back to you.
You get back, right? Yeah.
And it's travelled through 5 people.
Right.
And you'd be like, I wrote this.
Right. Mishloach manos hanasa yedei bali chanus o mosad v'chdome al pitzivu yameshleach v'schayvu. So he's saying, if you're Yotzei Mishloach Manos, if you send it through a store, it has to be delivered on Purim day, right? In other words, like some people send to their family overseas, Mishloach Manos that gets there a few days before. It's not officially Mishloach Manos, that wouldn't count. But let's say you've got a store or whatever, and they make deliveries on Purim day. So even though you are not physically delivering anything, you physically never had the Mishloach Manos in your possession, but the fact that you're paying for it and the person is getting it on Purim, you're Yotzei. Even if you're not going to give anybody else anything, you're Yotzei that way, as long as you're paying for it. You can get together a few people, right? The 3 people can get together and give Mishloach Manos to one. Again, we're talking about here to be Yotzei the mitzvah. A lot of people do all these types of things in addition to giving to one person a regular, but we're talking about here, can I be Mekayim the mitzvah in this way? In other words, I'm not giving any other Mishloach Manos in any other way, but I'm getting together with Darren and David, and we're going to give to the Tzafirs for their hospitality over here. So we're not, I don't know what food we could probably bring over here. Right, but
can we get Miri to make something
to give back to you? Yeah. So how does that work? So Shaim Kama Bnei Adam Lishloach Manos B'Shutfus. So a group of people can get together and give together. V'chein Lishloach Kama Bnei Adam B'Shutfus, and also to give to a group of people. However, Bilvad Sheyu Mispar Hamanos Tafi Mispar Hanashim. You have to make sure that the amount of food in there is enough for the amount of people. In other words, so 4 people getting together and chipping in 2 manos to give to me is okay, right? In other words, an apple and a chocolate bar, because the 3 of you are each giving a piece of apple and chocolate bar to one person, and that's okay. But let's say the 3 of you are giving to me and to David Price, right? To giving to both of us, then you'll have to make sure that there's another 2 things in there to give, because it has to be 4, because I have to get 2 and he has to get 2.
So you can give that's another derivation of that's a combo deal to more than one
both,
person.
A combo on both ends, on both sides.
I have a sad question. What if you go to Tel Aviv on the Purim? Do you have to give me
No, we have no mitzvos. People in Yerushalayim have no mitzvos at all. We only don't say tachnun and zeh. We have no mitzvos today. No mishloach manos.
If you go there, so it doesn't matter where you go?
No, only if you slept there at night with intention to be there, etc. We're not there.
So if you slept there at night and you know that first thing in the morning you go back to Jerusalem?
That's a shiloh already. I tell the girls in the school not to sleep out that night, to stay in Yerushalayim that night. It's a shiloh what happens then. Maybe you have to do both. Okay. Bachurim and Makablim Arochosam Yeshiva Mekayim Mitzvahs from Shalach Manos B'Nesinas Menoseim La'acher. Okay. So guys in yeshiva who get yeshiva food, So let's say a guy gets, he gets his schnitzel and his green beans. So those are his now, right? Once he gets it from the line, those are his. So he's allowed to give those now to somebody from Mishloach Manos. That's a lot. Even if he didn't spend any money on it, but that becomes his. Hansi is a whole shaila about this. In general, like who does the food on the table belong to? So you say, what's the difference? It belongs to Yaniv, and then he belongs to us. But let's say I pick up this egg roll here, and a woman comes in, and I'm a kadesha with it, right? I say, with this egg roll, hariyat mekudeshali. So that's good kedushin or not? Right? We know the halacha is that money has to be mine, right? The ring, everyone has to say under the chuppah, right? This ring belongs to him, doesn't belong to anyone else, right? So can I be mekadesh a woman with his egg roll from the table? So the Rama says it's a safek kedushin, because he says if the food is on my plate, and I took it from the main plate, and it was literally on my plate already. So then that's fine. But if a person takes food from like the serving dish, so who says that it really belongs to him? It's provided for us to be able to eat it, but that it's ours, that we have like bailus on it, that we have ownership of it, that we can now buy and sell things with it. Who says?
Even if it's in your plate?
No, I think they say once it's on the plate, then it is given over to you. I believe so. I'm not 100% sure.
Hang on, do you have to pick it up first?
Well, you do to get it onto your plate.
Oh, so you picked it. What if it was served to you? You never moved it. No mashicha, no hagla.
Well, once you're picking it up to give it to somebody.
So at that point,
I guess you also will. I'm not sure. Kevin sheisha chayaves mitzvahs of Purim ki ish tov sheomer habal leishto v'chein lebito shegiel lechinuch v'smucha al shulchano shu nosin gam avura matanos davyonim u'mishloach manos oshi den rehearse lasei la'atzman. So women are chayav in all these mitzvahs, so people can't forget that their wives are home, getting ready and taking care of things and this, but they also have to do the mitzvahs. So you have to make sure that you're giving matanos davyonim on their behalf and tell them this, that they're they should make you like a shliach. It doesn't say that they have to set you up, but some poskim say that. I tell the girls in school like that they should tell me I'm a shliach to go ahead and do this mitzvah for them on Purim. Yeah, that's for Matanos Avyonim and for Mishloach Manos also, either to give on her behalf or to make sure that she has her Mishloach Manos that she should be giving, and your daughters also to make sure that they're giving in order to be kind of the mitzvahs.
It's about like what, 20 shekels?
About 20. I said right, 20 shekels to two people. So I tell the girls 40 shekel minimum.
You got to make? There's a minimum amount to give.
Yeah. From Matanos Avyonim you have to give. Well, let's see. We're up to Matanos Avyonim right now. Hagdaras Evyon shemitzvos litin lamatanav b'yamim purim hi mi she'ein lo litzrachem hachrechim leparnasas beiso. Like Darren was saying before, the definition of a poor person, an Evyon for this halacha is somebody who does not have the amount of money he needs for the basic necessities of his home, to run his home, like we're saying bus fare and utilities and these types of things, the basic things. Matanos avyonim yitnu b'nei ir le'avyoni ha'ir or b'nei krach le'avyoni ha'krach aval lo yitin ben ir le'ben krach shepurim shalom machras v'chanepach. That's what you were saying before. People in Yudalit have to give in Yudalit, and people in Tesvav have to give in Tesvav. You're not yoked to the mitzvah the other way around. You have to give where, when, and where. Right, when it's Purim for you and where it's Purim for you. Giving in another place at another time doesn't work. Ein litin levyonim es matnoseim kodem b'yom Purim. You can't give it to them earlier before Purim. El yitnim lehem b'yom Purim atzbo. The mitzvah is to give it to them actually on Purim day itself.
So all this kupat really
they give it out of the day. That's what they say. You have to be samech on them. They have all those rabbis and pictures. Yotzin yidei chovas matanos avyonim menasinas hamchas check. A bank, you can give a check.
The Photoshopper Rebbe is also in there.
Right, the Photoshopper Rebbe. Yeah. You can give a check. I'm not sure if this is true in America. I'm assuming it's true also in America. But here in Israel, a check is worth cash. That's what they say. A check is basically cash. And even though when you're giving a person a check, chances of them being able to actually cash that check in a bank on Purim Day, they would not be able to do that. But Lamaisa, it's as good as cash, because you could give that to somebody for pizza in the pizza store and they'll take it from you. So a check is considered to be like cash.
Shouldn't be illegal.
And forgiving a debt is not matanos avyonim. Right? In other words, somebody comes in here, a poor person comes in here, and he owes you $5,000, and you say to you know what, it's Purim, it's all yours, you can keep it. So then he says, okay, can I have 20 shekel, please? You say, what do you mean? Just mochali $5,000. Okay, that was very nice, but you still only do matanos avyonim. So that's how it would come out.
That's a seriously chutzpahdik person.
Okay. Oh boy. Okay. Here's a good one for all the people still living in their parents' home. Okay, now we're up to Mishnah B'Simcha. This is good. We'll hopefully finish almost all the halachas here.
Did you say the amount yet? Are you going to get to it?
Amount of what?
The minimum amount. I didn't know there's a minimum amount.
Oh, so you didn't say it. No, I'm saying it. Yeah, no, it has to be enough for an ani to eat a meal. That has to be. For a poor person to eat a meal, so supposed to say about 20 shekel. You can get like a couple slices of pizza and a drink. So it has to be enough for a poor person for a meal.
Right.
And you have to have two of them, so they say about 40 shekel. Or $5 in America times two, $10, something like that. As a minimum. Okay, mitzvah Mishnah B'Simcha Tziva. So we have a mitzvah today to be merriment and eat and drink. So what about if a parent tells the kid not to drink? Tziva av levno shelo yistaker b'Purim. Yeah, so the parent tells his kid, "No, I don't want you to. I don't let you drink on Purim. I don't let you." So what's the halacha? What's the halacha? Yishmalo. You should listen. It's asur. That's Shlomo held like that. It's asur that for the kid to drink if the parent says no. Purim shechalios be'erev Shabbos. Oh, this is what
with the money to the poor, do you have to physically give to two different kuppah?
No, one kuppah as long as they're giving to more than one person. You're yotzei.
So if you give to but you got to give to two people.
They're distributing to more than one person.
Oh, so if you give 40 shekels to one kuppah,
then you're good. The only thing is that sometimes you have one person coming around saying, "I'm collecting for one family," so you can't give that person 40 shekels. You can give him only 20 shekels. I mean, you can give him 40, but you're not yotzei for 1,000 million. You still have to give another 20 somewhere else. Okay. Purim shechalios be'erev Shabbos nogin amedaktigim lahaktim la'aroch hasasuda kodem chatzos. Right, this is really what a person is supposed to do, like we have this year, because the halacha is that on Erev Shabbos you're not allowed to wash after Chatzos, you're not allowed to make a meal late in the day, because it gets, then you don't have an appetite for Shabbos. So it's very hard on Purim to do this, but we're starting that in school. We're starting the meal at 11 o'clock, and they'll probably finish eating before Chatzos, and then just sitting around and drinking and talking, whatever. But I don't mean alcohol, but for the students. So you shouldn't be eating too much after Chatzos because
is at what time?
At 12:30ish or so nowadays.
So how do you do the meal?
Maybe earlier, maybe 12. I'm sorry?
So how do you do the meal?
As early as possible. I'm saying on Friday this year to try to do it early, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, we're starting at 11.
Also, we're starting at 11.
11.
But you shouldn't be eating so late in the day. A lot of people do. I'm saying,
and then you drink. You can drink until Shabbat.
You can do whatever you want. Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
You got to do
some people drink and go to sleep for a little bit, and they get, whatever you want, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. No, give it down the haktim laro chasasuda. Okay. Okay, that's basically it. Are you getting into that's really now he gets into the halachos of like between Yerushalayim and the other cities, which is not. I don't think we're not going to get into that. Purim and Meshulash is not for us this year, and that's it. And we finished off Purim without it. Okay, wonderful. That's a wrap on Purim. Way to go, everybody. Way to go.